Hi everyone, Julian from Seedstars World all the way from Singapore. It was our second event here in Singapore, and we have a second winner, Niranjan Rao, the founder of 6Degrees. How do you feel?
Fantastic. Didn't expect to win. It feels great.
Yeah.
And Seedstars is really good. Very good bunch of presentations from a lot of really high quality startups. Yeah, it's just really great to be sitting here in this chair with you.
Did you expect to win?
I have to be honest. There was some stiff competition out there, especially the ones that started both the morning and the afternoon sessions. Very diverse streams from medical to like 3D printing and everything. Respect. Just really good, and all of them were fighting, a tough timeline, only 6 minutes, and some very talented people. I spoke to a lot of them offline as well. Very committed, very sharp people. I just think it's I feel great to be here, to have won this.
So what is 6Degrees all about? What is this app that everyone should have on their phone?
6Degrees is basically our attempt to make your phone book more in tune with the technological world that we live in today. It is often said that relationships are your greatest wealth, not money, not land, relationships. Unfortunately, despite a lot of technological advancements in the mobile space, your phone book is still stuck in the Web 1.0 era. 6Degrees is our attempt to change that. So it is a connected, self-updating phone book, which helps you ensure that there is a live network between your phone book and the phone books of all your friends. You can update your contact details on your friends' phone books remotely by simply updating your own phone. Your friends can update their contact details on your phone by simply updating their own phone. So if all your friends get onto 6Degrees, your phone's contact list becomes auto-updating. And that has a completely different user experience. It changes the user experience completely. It also integrates all your social profiles into one. So instead of just seeing your friends' phone number and email address, you also, with their permission of course, see their Facebook profile, their WhatsApp, their LinkedIn, which we are going to integrate very soon. So it's a very holistic contacts experience.
So if I summarize, you're making a phone book social, right? You're making it social, which is funny because the phone book is probably one of the most social native app in your phone, yet it was not social at all.
Absolutely. The phone book is one of the most information-rich resources on your phone. But somehow, in the era of social networks, the phone book has got left behind. The phone book is, today, if you look at all the different parts of your phone, it's one of the most almost neglected, underdeveloped parts of your phone. The way we see it, if you look at the core functions of the phone, if you strip out people watching videos and listening to music on their phones, all that happened later. But if you look at the core functions of the personal phone, it rests on 3 foundational pillars: calling, texting, and connecting. The way we see it, 2 out of those 3 pillars have been completely disrupted. Calling and texting today, they've been disrupted by high-quality companies, high-quality people with very good technologies. Skype, Viber, WhatsApp, Line, WeChat in China, which is an incredible company.
We don't text anymore, we WhatsApp.
Exactly, right? So even from the point of view of a telecom company, SMS as a revenue winner is simply gone now, even in developing markets. But the third pillar, which is connecting, is still stuck in the so-called Stone Age. And social networks, this is our belief, social networks can never substitute your personal networks. We all learn this in school and college. Everybody's got personal space, and then there's social space, and then there's the public space out there. Social networks straddle the social space and the public space, whereas we are more of a personal network. We straddle your personal space and your social space. We like to think of ourselves as your own customized personal phone book.
Basically, you're trying to attract me with the one feature, which is updating, my phone on a regular basis to my friends.
Yes.
Because we all have this. I remember this really awful experience we all have when we lose our phone or we change our number, and
Yes.
it's like, I need to tell everyone. So you go on Facebook
Yes.
and you tell everyone, hey, here is my new number, and
Yes.
they'll come in and maybe your people, you don't want them to have your new phone number. You might want to get rid of them. Actually.
Exactly.
You don't want them in your phone book anymore.
Exactly.
So you're solving that, but then you're going much beyond that, right? right?
Exactly. So the content, the way we see it is users come for the features, but they stay for the content. So the content can be crowd generated. We are, for example, the Yellow Pages feature, which I just showed you, we are working with Yellow Pages partners in local countries. Yellow Pages as such, the real strength of any Yellow Pages service comes from the richness of the database, from how many shops are on that, how many establishments, how many cafes are there. And for that, you need to go really local. And that's why we are looking to work with local Yellow Pages companies in each of the local countries, especially in Asia, where a lot of these businesses are still running offline. And so that's one of the ways in which we generate content onto the platform. We look at 6Degrees as a platform. Our core strength is not the fact that we have a couple of features. The core strength is the network itself and the fact that you're connected live. And it's not just, if I'm searching for a cafe, I don't just see results from the list of cafes. I also see cafes from my friends' phone books. And in real life, that's how you try out new places, right? Because your friend recommends them to you, right? Through human referrals, right? So I can search for a cafe and I can choose to look at it not only from the nearby places category, but I can also go into contacts of contacts category, and I can see cafes over there. And I can see which of my friends has been to that cafe. So it's a much more personalized service in that way. So you and I could be searching for the same thing, sitting in the same place, and get completely different results.
Yeah, I'm interested about your story and your journey as an entrepreneur into this. So how do you get started? Like, it came out from your bed, your garage. Where did you come up with this idea?
There's a fair bit of, like most good things, there is a fair bit of providence involved in a lot of these things. Me and my co-founder, Arun, we've known each other for a long time. We are friends first and co-founders later. But 6Degrees began as an attempt by Arun and myself to solve our own problem. And then we spoke to our friends, and we have friends from all over the world. Arun worked in Silicon Valley for 8 years. I've been in Singapore for a while now, and I have ex-colleagues and friends from a lot of different countries speaking different languages. And we realized that the pain point that we were looking to solve was extremely widespread. I went to China about 5 months ago, and I blogged about it on our website as well, www.get6degrees.com. I had trouble telling them about my business because they couldn't speak English. But when I showed them the app and I told them the problem I was trying to solve, their faces lit up because they have this problem, right? So it's a truly global problem. And that gave us a lot of encouragement and incentive to start off working on this. The initial work on this was quite difficult. We had to do the hard yards because our real strength, the real IP comes from the back end. The front end, the app itself is not the toughest part of what we're doing. And so that's kind of how it started. And we've had a very good first 9 months. Singapore as an ecosystem has been quite helpful to us.
Tell us about that. Like how. So you come from India, right? So that's where you build also part of your experience, and you travel, I believe, back and forth between what part of India?
So the team is based in Bangalore. So we think of ourselves as a multinational startup.
And you travel between Bangalore and Singapore constantly.
Yes.
So we've been to Bangalore as well. We've seen a really exploding scene. There's lots going on in Bangalore.
Yes.
But how would you compare Bangalore ecosystem and Singapore ecosystem, like the tech hub of the world and the financial hub of the world, right? How do you compare them?
Well, very good question. Chalk and cheese, really. Very, very different places, very different cultures. From a very ground up perspective, very different. The kind of talent that you see in Bangalore. Now, I've never been to the US. I've never been to the Valley, but I've heard a lot of things about the kind of talent that they have over here. I'd like to see them. I'd like to see some city being better than Bangalore on a global scale. I'm putting it out there in terms of talent, not the other things. Obviously, in terms of the rest of the ecosystem, from educational institutes to tech-savvy investors to successful ex-entrepreneurs or serial entrepreneurs who've had exits, yeah, sure, Bangalore doesn't have the same. It's changing very fast. And also, in terms of the corridor, the India-US corridor, Bangalore has a very strong corridor straight to the US. And that comes from not only Bangalore's own strengths, but from India as a whole. So Bangalore has managed to establish itself as the tech hub and the startup hub of India. So the fact that they have a hinterland, and the fact that they have startups in the last 15 years that have benefited from the Indian growth story, not just the Bangalore growth story, that's a huge advantage. Singapore doesn't quite have that, but Singapore has a lot of other strengths. You mentioned the financial hub of certainly Southeast Asia, if not Asia itself. My background is from the investment banking space, so I'm quite qualified to talk about the financial strengths of Singapore. Singapore has a good ecosystem approach to technology and to tech startups. While obvious challenges do exist, cost of living being high, manpower costs being very high, in terms of ecosystem, their plans here are very good. And the government works very hard to invite talent from all over the region, certainly. And they also work very hard to make sure that they make up for their lack of a hinterland with business trips and business expeditions. So I think their dream is to have companies based in Singapore, where the talent is in Singapore and it leads to jobs in Singapore, but the actual market that they capitalize on is the region. Indonesia, Malaysia, and Thailand being the most important ones. They're very ambitious. So some startups even want to tap into China, sitting here. It's tougher, especially now that Hong Kong is making a bid for that as well, and they have obvious geographical advantages. But Singapore is a good place in the sense that in terms of availability of funding, in terms of the educational institutes that exist here, there are some quality advisors and people in the ecosystem who are here, who you can speak to. For us, we consider ourselves to be a fairly tech-driven company. Our use case may be a very layman use case, but what's happening at the back end is actually fairly involved. So we have a constant need to speak to people who understand technology, especially mobile technology. We are one of those mobile-first startups that a lot of people want to be mobile first startups. We are genuinely a mobile first startup, not by design but by compulsion. Contacts is a mobile first area. People use the phone for their contacts.
So what do you look for in India and what do you look for in Singapore as an entrepreneur, living between the both?
So Singapore, in terms of relationships into Asia, especially Southeast Asia, is a good place to be. It's also very well connected, both not just in terms of travel, but also in terms of the rest of the ecosystem, as I mentioned. India is great for hiring and for talent, and increasingly, it's also very, very good for their own tech ecosystem as well. The fact that India is undergoing a very interesting metamorphosis right now, where the first generation of successful entrepreneurs who all targeted the local market. They made products for India. They've had their exits now, and now the new age of Indian entrepreneurs, that's very, very brave. The new young entrepreneurs in India, they don't have the fear that perhaps the previous generation did. So they are now building products for the global market. They are deep diving into technology, and they are building really high quality technology products. It's not like the previous generation was not capable of this, but there is a certain evolutionary pattern that every ecosystem needs to go through. So for us, obviously being a seed stage startup, the quality of talent that is afforded to us by India from the IITs and the IIMs and a lot of the other schools is very attractive.
So now back to 6Degrees. I'm trying to understand, you're trying to do a little revolution in the sort of social network kind of space. And we've seen a lot of those companies, and usually they don't really win our competition because it's very hard to disrupt the social network business. And you're trying to do that. How do you see the future of social networks in 10 years from now? Do you still think big companies like big social networks like Facebook, Twitter, are still going to exist? Or there's still space for new players like 6Degrees?
I think, just in terms of social networks themselves, guys like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, they've made it, and they've gone well past the the difficult period of criticality that startups need. They are no longer startups. They are giants. They are giants. They pretty much own their respective areas. We like to think of ourselves as being a bit different from social networks, even though we are allowing people to interact with all their social networks, but we are more of an aggregator of your personal networks. So our big USP is your privacy. 6Degrees is meant for you to share your contacts with those that matter the most and to block those that you don't trust. That's why we have a trust list, we have a block list, we have an invisible feature. You can just go invisible on 6Degrees if you don't want anybody to see your contacts. Social networks the use case is a little different. People don't really put their mobile number on Facebook, for example. A lot of people share videos, they share their honeymoon pictures, their kids' photos. So the use case on social networks is more about sharing and bragging, if I may say so, and that will exist. These are.
Do you think, so nowadays on Facebook I have something like over 600 friends, whatever, on LinkedIn thousands of hundreds of contacts, not 1,000, and then on Twitter I don't know what it was. So you're telling me that you're trying to become a more qualitative network rather than quantitative? That's what you're trying to say?
I think that's a good way to put it, but one very important difference is that we are an organic network. See, when you create a Facebook profile, you have 0 friends. You start from 0. You have to go and look at your friends and make friends. You'll get incoming invites, you'll send outgoing invites, and you grow your network slowly. The phone book space is not like that. When people sign up to 6Degrees, the average person in the English-speaking world has 480 contacts on his phone book. So the minute you sign up, you are in a position to share 480 contacts with your family and friends, the ones that matter the most to you. So it's a much more organic network. You don't have to work hard to build your network as much. Of course, on top of that, we also have a friend suggester feature on 6Degrees where you can, we see how you're connected to each other on 6Degrees, and we suggest friends that you have a lot of mutual contacts with, but you're not actually directly connected with them on 6Degrees. We also have a verify contacts feature, so you can download 6Degrees, and as soon as you download 6Degrees, you can immediately start verifying your contacts, and they will receive emails and SMSs asking them to confirm whether the contacts that you have about them are up to date or not. So it's a much more organic network.
Right. So later on, you're telling me that I could even hire people, find my dog walker, date.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, whatever you want to put on your live profile. We're working on a way right now where you can create multiple live profiles. Right now, we've just got a single live profile which you share with everybody, but we will soon have a feature where you can create multiple live profiles, a formal one, an informal one, a professional one, and you can share those profiles with corresponding people. And I think that is a reflection of real life. Nobody is one person. I know for a fact that the way I move with my family is very different from the way I move with my colleagues. And the way I move with my colleagues is very different from how I interact with my basketball group.
We have multiple faces online, right? I don't manage my Facebook the same way I manage my LinkedIn or the same way I manage my Twitter. That's what you're trying to say, that we're going to have multiple faces online.
Exactly.
We're going to want to be able to manage them
exactly.
from one place.
Exactly. So you can link your professional profile to your LinkedIn profile, or you can even put additional stuff there. So you can put notes in your live profile with your professional qualifications. And people can search by professional qualifications. So if you're looking for a Java programmer, you can search by Java, and you can choose the field saying professional qualification is equal to Java. So you can actually do that. That's a use case that is, it's a potential use case in the future. People hire on LinkedIn, right?
So looking 2 years down the line, what do you think you want to be? What do you think you will be?
I think
how many millions or billions of users are you looking at?
We are a very early stage company. We are just coming out of beta. I think it's important for us. It's important to focus and make sure that we get our short-term goals right. In the long term, we are a massive. We represent an attempt to change something very fundamental in a very strategic location on everybody's phone, which is your phone book. So in the long term, we will want to be on, at the fingertips of potentially hundreds of millions of users. But we can't be thinking about that when we start to do our day-to-day activities. So right now, we are in the process of offering our product to device makers and handset brands, especially in Asia, to replace the native phone book that they have. We provide their users with a richer and more connected contacts experience, and it makes their phones better. And we've got very good feedback from a couple of mid-sized phone manufacturers already, both in India and in Southeast Asia. So that's where we start, and as soon as that happens, we will have millions of users coming on board pretty much immediately.
So you're looking anywhere around the world, pretty much?
Yes, I mean, in terms of
emerging markets, Southeast Asia.
Yeah. So, see, in terms of use case, in terms of the market itself, anyone with a smartphone and with contacts to manage is a potential user for
pretty
us.
much anyone with a smartphone.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, it's a geography agnostic business. But for us to build out slowly, and in terms of, for us to get users to really love us, it's important for us to make sure that users have a lot of their friends on 6Degrees. And as a result, it's important for us to concentrate on specific markets. So if you have, if we have like 1 million users in 5 different countries, that's good, but it's not as good as 5 million users in one country, because the network effect from that is much greater. So that's why it's important for us to focus on specific markets. Being in Singapore is a huge advantage because we are able to focus on emerging markets like Indonesia, Thailand, and Malaysia. We also have potential business partners in Hong Kong who will help us get a look into a very exciting market in North Asia, which is China, especially from a handset manufacturing point of view, because that's where everything gets made. India is a very exciting market, once again, very quick growing smartphone penetration rate, especially in the budget range, and it's also a very, very free market. India is one of the freest handset markets in the world. The number of brands that exist in India, it's huge, and there are new brands coming up almost every day. So we see ourselves as an Asian startup.
So how do you go around? One thing I'm interested about, a lot of the businesses we see, they're also doing a lot of B2B, or they have like quite straightforward strategies about putting their product out there, right? It's just like, okay, I go out there and I just sell it, or I contact people, or I do Facebook advertising, those kinds of stuff. What you're trying to do is to revolutionize something that is deeply involved and integrate into my phone. So how do you go around advertising that and selling that? Selling it's a free app, right? But how do you go about promoting that to emerging markets, which are really fragmented markets, not yet very mature like Europe or US are? So how do you go around promoting that on an emerging market?
Yeah, well, the best way to do that is to make sure that we focus on a core group of users and get them to love us. The way I see it, it's better to have 2 people who love us rather than to have 20 people who like us but won't tell their friends about it. We are a startup. We don't have a sales force. We want our users to be our sales guys, right? And that happens a lot in emerging markets. That happens a lot in places like Brazil, for example, where we have a very high number of outgoing invites per user. While our overall number of outgoing invites per user is 2.1, in Brazil itself, that number is north of 5. Yeah, so there's something,
referrals is important.
Referrals is very high. So in Brazil, we are, I think Brazilians must be very social people, really friendly people. So the number of referrals that we are getting over there is very high. And that's the Portuguese language app. We're available in 7 different languages. Portuguese is one of them. We are also seeing a lot of downloads from the Middle East in Arabic. And that is a huge challenge because Arabic is a right to left script. So in terms of UI and user experience, it required a lot of work from us. So that's our key focus, to make sure that we create actionable inferences from the user feedback that we are getting during the beta program, and to make sure that users absolutely love us. We are very happy with the Play Store rating that we've got. We are, for a utility app, 4.6 out of 5 on the Android store is actually a very good rating. A lot of utility apps that exist not only in the contact space but also the rest of the phone book utility space tend to have ratings between 3 and 3.5. So 4.6 is very good. So a big thanks to all our beta users for that. We want to get better. We want to get even better. So that's, yeah. The second thing, of course, is to make ourselves useful and relevant to other large companies in this ecosystem. I've spent enough time talking about device makers and handset makers, but another kind of animal which exists in this ecosystem is telecom companies. Telecom companies are going through a major upheaval right now, where their traditional cash cow businesses have been disrupted by technology companies. 6Degrees has huge synergies with telecom companies because telecom companies have the mass retail user base as well as SME relationships and merchant relationships. Right now, they are a cost center to the merchants because 29 days of the month, the merchant doesn't think about the telco. The 30th day, he gets the bill and he says, oh, I got to pay my telco bill. 6Degrees allows telecom companies to become revenue partners with merchants. So telecom companies can ask their merchants to create a live profile on 6Degrees, which takes 2 minutes. These merchants can now be accessed by the telecom company's users, and they can search them and they can charge the merchants on a per-click basis. And so now the telecom company gets into a much more strategic location. So it's much more of a marketplace model for the telco itself, rather than just being a service provider, which is a one-directional business. That's just one of the examples. We're also looking for potential product partnerships, Yellow Pages companies, VoIP solutions providers. Right now, if you click on your friend's number on 6Degrees, it initiates a normal phone call. But we've been approached by companies which can put an extra icon over there where you can actually call your friends for free. If two people are on 6Degrees, they can call each other for free. On its own, that's not revolutionary. Skype did that 15 years ago. But to put that inside the phone book, and to combine that with the personalization that 6Degrees gives all its users, I think that counts for a lot.
So have you ever been to Europe or to Switzerland?
I have never been to Switzerland. I've always wanted to go. Fantastic place.
Have you ever had Swiss fondue?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
You have unlimited refill of Swiss fondue during 1 week.
I'm definitely. When is the flight?
So very soon. It's in February 4th till 6th, 2015. So it's very soon. Where do you expect to be when you come? So you come to Geneva, February 2015. What do you want to have achieved by the time you come to Geneva? What do you want to show off to our audience?
Our strategy right now in terms of the B2B2C network is pretty much focused on ODMs in Asia. I'm hoping to share some good news with you potentially in the next couple of months with a couple of tie-ups. That will automatically give us at least 2 to 3 million users per year through those B2B partnerships. If we can do that before we come to Geneva in February, that would be fantastic. To come there and to say that we've got 3 million users already would be great.
I look forward to seeing you there.
I look forward to being there.
34 entrepreneurs coming from all around the world, and we're still scouting as we go. I'll see you there. I'll do a fist bump.
Fantastic. I hope I didn't hurt you with my ring.
So see you in Geneva, and see you all as well in Geneva from 4th till the 6th February 2015. But before that, we'll see each other in Jakarta on Monday next week. Cheers.